questions and each of you can answer. Okay. Huh? I have it online. I had an interview on Friday. I was out of town.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the work session Monday, September 15th, 6:01 PM. Tonight, we are roll call. Counselor Holmes is online and the other 5 of us are present. Tonight, we are here we put out applications for a student representative to Scappoose City Council. So tonight, we're joined with Tyler Ferreira. If you want to come up to a microphone. And we're just going to quickly, you're the only application now, so we're going to just kind of go through it in the next few minutes, but we have your application here and answers to all your questions. We've had a chance to read those. We would just like, if anybody has a question they'd like to ask Tyler, and then you can also give some feedback when we're done or ask us any questions as well.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us just a little about yourself and your interests are?
Yeah, so my name is Tyler Ferreira. I've lived in Scappoose about 10 years now, and I'm a senior at Scappoose High School. I would consider myself very involved with Scappoose High School. I've ran cross country for like 6 years now. I've been in band in a leadership position for around 3 years. As well as theater, a lot of arts, swimming. I was a swim team captain, a lot of stuff. So I would have a strong tie to Scappoose High School and the kids that make up the city of Scappoose. So yeah.
What year did you start school here then?
I started school here in 2015 in 2nd grade. Before that, I lived briefly in Washington, but I was born in Anchorage, Alaska. I lived there for 5 years.
Where'd you go to 3rd grade?
I went to 1st grade in Bellingham, Washington, and then 2nd grade I moved here. 3rd grade, my elementary school was at Grant Watts.
Who was your 3rd grade teacher?
My 3rd grade teacher. So that's an interesting question.
I knew we were going here.
What does he ask this a lot?
Actually,
Yeah, it's not, if it's Bacchus, then I'm sure there's some concern.
Oh, well, I actually did have her, not as my main teacher at Mrs. Dodd.
Oh, then you gotta be okay.
But I did go into her class a lot.
That's great. My next question, do you have political aspirations, governmental, municipality? Do you have any thoughts of as in the future? Does this interest you as a job or career?
I think right now has been a very interesting time in my life where people are asking you, what do you want to do with your life? And I have been interested in leadership, and thanks to my parents, as some of you know, my mom, Nicole Ferreira, she served as the president of the Scappoose Bay Watershed Council for a number of years, and she kind of got me into the local politics here. We would vote together, we would do all this stuff, and so I am exploring my options, but I think that based on my ties here, and based on how I was raised, a job or a position in government could be very interesting. And I'm actually looking right now at Willamette University, and they're like, one thing that they really show is that they're 27 feet away from the Capitol building, and they have access to a lot of internships with the state capitol. And so I'm thinking, if this position inspires me to chase chase is a good word, at higher aspirations in politics, whether it be, state or local, that I find if I want to do that through this. So.
Great.
I just want to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for applying. This was a great application. I really enjoyed reading it. I like some points that you said about that you feel that you don't want your students' body voiceless. And then also, you talked about voice, for your peers to have a voice. So I do appreciate that. And you answered that question really well. You don't need to get into politics, but thank you for applying.
Thank you for choosing to offer this position as a collective.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. I did enjoy, just like Counselor Santiago, I enjoyed reading your application. It was very well written and thoughtful, so I appreciate that. One question I have for you is if you could just elaborate a little bit more on what you believe is maybe a key issue. I'm sure there's many, but what would you think is one of the key issues that's facing your generation right now?
Facing our generation, like as a whole.
Yeah, you're at school. Let's make it at school. Let's keep it specific.
I think that at our school, there are a number of issues that, as I listed in my application, there's the very the tangible things like one-to-one Chromebooks, planning for our future, and I actually like the job shadow stuff, planning for our own future. And I think this is an issue that every generation faces at least once in their life, where they have you have the older generations who are coming down, and I want the students at Scappoose High School to be able to go into life more prepared in general. And I think that in general, we're being left behind a little bit with the way that I think that by offering more opportunities to students, I'm talking about the job shadow stuff you've done in my application. And the reason why I say that so much is because I took one of these programs. It was the fire science program with Chief Pritchard, which I think has been a great success. It showed me a lot of possible careers that I didn't know were there. And so I think that's an issue that we're facing, is that there's not enough career exposure. It's really hard, going into the world, and prices are rising in general, and being able to find a job and keep a job. A bachelor's degree is just a starting point now, instead of going to college is essentially a requirement. So I think if there were more opportunities for students to know what careers are out there besides college, or if you do go to college, figuring out what exactly you want to do before you go hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
For sure. Yeah.
So
It's hard when when you're expected to know what you're going to do the rest of your life by the time you're 18.
Yeah.
They don't show you a lot of options.
It's not realistic. I didn't figure it out. I didn't figure it out until I was like in my mid-20s at best. You've got time.
Tyler, with your other obligations, I should start with, we have meetings twice a month, generally. With your other obligations, do you see it being any sort of an issue for you to attend each one of our council meetings?
I did a count that is, twice a month, 7 to 9. I have, with my schedule, I think a lot about my schedule in general, and I have been able to budget out a time, or that time slot. I've been able to move things around so that I can fit this in. And I understand that's not necessarily a good thing to say, if I'm taking on too much, but even though it might look like I'm taking on too much, I am committed to this. Right as when that application released, even before that, I was going around asking teachers, what are some issues with this school? What are some good things that we're doing? I want to know what is happening here so that city council might be able to do something. Because part of looking at that is how does city council, what is applicable. So even though I have a number of obligations, I've been able to move things around and make time for this position because I really do care about what you guys are offering here.
Thank you.
And we do have, there's options. As you can see, Counselor Holmes is online. Not everybody can make it to every meeting. Everything's recorded. So it's definitely flexible. But it sounds like definitely committed, and this is one of the top on your priority. If we don't have any more questions, we do have.
Just one more. Okay, Tyler, first, thank you for applying. I think this is good for everybody. But we made a segue into this. So what are the issues that you see in the school district that could be some interplay between the city and the school district?
So right now, I've seen there's a large influx of students coming mainly from St. Helens because of the things that were happening over there. We're at around 800 students right now. And at the last school board meeting, they just voted to close intra-district transfers, I think is what they called it, because we are simply over capacity. There are multiple teachers sharing rooms. There's one teacher who just got hired who goes around, he has a cart with all of his things, and he is moving around to the different classrooms when the teachers are on their prep period because we do not have enough classroom space. When I was researching this, I was looking a lot at the city bond and how exactly that worked. I was getting in contact with Alex Tardif, and it looks like they're already setting up a bond committee to try and go at it again, which I think is a great idea. But right now, I think it's just there's so many people, there's so many kids in this school. And so one thing I mentioned in my application was one-to-one Chromebooks. School laptops. We got them like 4 years ago when I was a freshman, or mainly when we came back from online learning, and they've degraded over time. They're cheap and we can get grants for them, but they are not durable. And we do not have enough of them to go around. If you ask any student in the school, they will tell you they hate using Chromebooks. And with the new executive order with the phone ban, students, teachers who rely on, taking pictures to submit things to Canvas, or Canvas is the website we use for our online schooling. And if you don't have access to a Chromebook, or if you don't have access to your phone, you have to use a Chromebook, and you don't always have a charger. There's not always one to go around. You have kids going from classroom to classroom saying, hey, is there a Chromebook available? So I think that being able to get one-to-one Chromebooks is what the teachers called it, is a very important thing that we can do to help mitigate this issue. But also, by looking at grants and looking at things, I said that on my application. And then there was another thing that I said as well, where talking about job placements. Last Monday, I was at Healthy Smiles at Scappoose getting my teeth cleaned. And I was talking to one of the hygienists there. I don't exactly remember her name, even though I see her every single time I go there, which is kind of, I should know that. But I told her about this application and about all the things that, the job shadow potential. And she's like, that's a really good idea. I think if Scappoose High School got into contact with Healthy Smiles, that we could set up like a job shadow thing like that. And she was like, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do, and they don't have an idea of what careers are out there. They want to be lawyers and doctors because that's what they've seen on the internet and on TV. And with the internet, there's a lot more, I think, compared to before, the internet, there's a lot more career exposure. But reaching out to local businesses, things that OMIC is doing, the things that Chief Pritchard is doing, I think that if we work together to try and get a program, get in contact, you guys have the reach to talk to all those people. If we can get more connection between the two, then I think that would set our students up for success.
Thanks, Tyler.
And I think we have a lot of employees here. We could job shadow a lot of the jobs in the city too. Show them that there's different jobs all throughout the city. Okay, we do have a section in the meeting where we will talk a little bit more. And so if you want to think of any questions, if you want to join us here, you can and be part of the meeting. And then when we come to this spot here, we can, if anybody has any other questions, if you have any comments, we can do it there.
Okay.
All right. So we can,
Mr. Mayor, I move that we
we,
vote.
we have to do it in a regular meeting.
Oh, after the record, okay.
Yeah, it's number
Right, now-
4.
Now I remember.
Yeah, it's on number 4. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and have a seat over here, appreciate it. Yes,
That table.
for now.
Okay.
Or anywhere, actually anywhere now. And then number 4, we'll bring you back up, ask you questions, make a vote, and make it official. Until then, go ahead and have a seat anywhere then. And we're going to move on to counselor interview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of which, we do have 2 applicants for our open counselor position. So we're going to start with Marty Marquis. If you want to come up to the microphone next. We have your application in front of us. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for being on the planning commission and stepping up to help. What we're going to do is we have 11 questions. A lot of them are in your application, so you want to reiterate, reaffirm, bring up anything new, elaborate. But we're just going to try to go through these quickly if you want, a minute or 2 at each one, and go from there.
Okay.
And then afterwards, I have Mr. Ryuta's application online, and we will all watch that. It was recorded. So we'll go ahead and start. Tim's going to stand out a question since online. We'll just go 1 through 5 and then repeat it each time.
Great.
Okay, Marissa, Ms. Jacobs.
Hi, Marty.
How's it going?
Good. Nice to see you. Why are you interested in becoming a member of Scapa City Council?
I think it's a good opportunity to get more deeply involved in the community and help shape this place going forward. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's good to have a motive to be involved. Like, you can have the best intentions in the world, but making a commitment and showing up and building connections face to face with the people that help run the town, I think is a positive thing. And so I want to do that. Planning Commission's been interesting and illuminating, but I feel like it's not, it doesn't afford the same opportunities to help out. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What unique skills and experiences would you bring to the city council?
Well, I worked for many years in the entertainment business, so I can communicate, hopefully still, and I'm comfortable on stage and in public settings. I've traveled a lot in that kind of work, and I've met lots of different kinds of people from all over the place. And I feel like I've been able to connect with folks from different kinds of backgrounds and people with different kinds of values and concerns. During COVID, I made a career change and went back to school and studied spatial analysis. And so I'm working as a spatial analyst for an economic consultancy now. And they're the ones who are helping us put together our 50-year plan. So day to day, I do the kind of work that helps communities around Oregon and the West in general to help come up with plans to address equity concerns, to figure out where to build infrastructure, how to raise more money, things like that. So yeah, I make a lot of maps, but I do a lot of other more esoteric kinds of analysis too. Like right now I'm working on a project to identify parcels for stormwater storage in South Seattle. Like the client has this whole litany of criteria that they want us to look at. And then another one, let's put together some kind of, I forget what TIF stands for, some sort of tax incentive framework or something in
Tax
Washington.
incremental funding.
Yeah. So Washington State, cities there do a lot of that. So I'm looking at a bunch of parcels in Bellevue and trying to put together a boundary for a TIF. So,
Kind of like an urban renewal district. too.
So did you say facial analysis?
spatial.
Oh, spatial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, my ear.
No, that's-
So that makes sense.
Yeah, GIS. But I got a master's in GIS over the
Saw that
plague
in the
times.
Thank you.
Number 3, the position of city councilor is time consuming. For example, bi-monthly meetings, committee meetings, prepping for meetings, reading materials, meetings. Would you be able to devote the necessary time adequately to fill the position? And please describe your current time commitments and how you'd be able to balance the new position.
Yeah, I think that's not going to be a problem. Both of my children are now in self-sufficiency mode, and my daughter even got her driver's license, which is just a huge relief. And so my main time suck is probably preparing meals at home in the evening, but I'm looking forward to a further break from those responsibilities. And yeah, other than that, Mondays are given over to Monday Night Football. I think I can.
Especially when the Raiders are playing. That's a tough one tonight. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've got more time than I know what to do with. My hobbies are reading and, watching the NFL games and doing some creative stuff, art from time to time. So I look forward to it.
Thank you.
I'm Marty.
Hello.
So this is a two-part question. Please explain the council, city manager form of government that we have in Scappoose. And the second part is, what do you see your role as councilor being if you were appointed?
Well, so the way that I'm not sure if all versions of this government work the same way, but in Scappoose, from what I understand, the mayor is elected every 2 years for a 2-year term, and then council is elected for 4-year terms on an alternating basis. And it's our responsibility on council to vet what our staff, who's hired by us and who's paid for out of the public coffers, the good advice that they give us, and to put things on the record so that citizens have a chance to interact with the decisions that are being made on how we're going to use our resources in the city. I think a counselor's role is to engage with the background material that comes before this. This is based on my experience on the planning commission, where we get these huge packets, and I feel like it's, responsibility there is to go through, become familiar with all of the material in the packets so that you can ask intelligent questions of the experts on staff, and also to address citizen concerns when they come up. And yeah, I don't know. I think counselors should be available to the citizens and do what they can to help encourage more citizen involvement in how the city is run.
Thank you.
Marty, thanks for your application. I think we all appreciate your applying for this. And next question deals with disagreements on council, and not that we have a lot of them, but they do arise. And so what's your view on how that fits into the scheme of things, disagreements and debates on council?
Well, it's the old saw of iron sharpening iron to hopefully disagreement, as long as it stays civil and above board, helps us get to the best course of action and something that we can have a strong consensus on. I shy away. I like to get along with everybody. I try to avoid conflict as much as possible. But I think that it's important to say what you believe, try to do the right thing. And if you have a disagreement with somebody and you don't see eye to eye, try to find some kind of middle ground.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No,
Oh,
no.
she's not, okay. What do you think the city of Scappoose is doing well?
Well, high school sports.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of my colleagues the other day was complaining about how good Scappoose baseball is, and and I don't know. I mean, I sort of say that tongue in cheek, but I like going to the football games, and it feels like there's a camaraderie that the city has. That people sort of gather around these events, and there's something meaningful, and everybody gets to see everybody else. And I think the lodge opening up was a big deal too. It's sort of on a smaller scale. It's a place for the community to gather and for people to mix in an informal way and to get to see each other and have FaceTime. And I think that there's a variety of cool programming that happens, especially in the summer. Stuff that happens in the park next door is really cool. I think that we have some pretty amazing parks for a town our size, and it looks like we're making some quality investments in water infrastructure at the moment, and sort of looking to the future for that, and that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I think people, the stuff that I've seen in city government seems like you got a lot of people with straight ethics and people that know how to get along and smart folks that are looking out for our community. So I think there's a lot of good stuff that's going on in our town.
Okay, on the other side of that coin, what do you think City of Scappoose can do better?
I mean, the number one thing that always comes to mind is connectivity across the highway and dealing with this bifurcation of the city. And I know it's a super complicated issue because the city doesn't control that jurisdiction, and it's ODOT, but it's a U.S. highway too. So I don't even know who all has fingers in the how the highway is run, and we have the train tracks as well. And I don't know what we can do about that as a city council, but I do think that a good start would be to really try to build some relationships with ODOT in an intentional way, and to have, I mean, it's the main feature of Scappoose is this road. So it seems like it's something that we should almost be talking with ODOT about weekly, saying what's going on with the timing of the lights, what's happening with this. Can we do some more safety measures or think about ways to connect pedestrians better across this road. The same thing. I think we could use more sidewalks. I know there's a gas tax that is supposed to go towards sidewalk infrastructure, and perhaps there's some being built somewhere at the moment, but none that I'm aware of. And then I think, I know this is probably not in our wheelhouse, but the middle school needs to be replaced. I think that's a big deal. It's kind of a death trap. My kids were there not too long ago, and the first day of school, my son's PE teacher was like, "See that up there? That's the cancer stuff. Like, don't throw anything up there. Don't touch it." And that's to say nothing of its vulnerability to seismic events. But I know that it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of political will to do something like that. But I think that's a big deal that needs to be addressed. And again, I don't know if that's something that council does. Maybe that's a school board thing. Maybe that's something that that you get a community group together to work on. But I mean, I think those aren't that big of a deal ultimately. Like these things are things that we can work on, but it's not like, it's not like Gary, Indiana here or something like that. So I think we're doing pretty good.
Kind of in the same vein, but maybe those are the three, but what are the three most important issues facing Scappoose in your opinion?
Well, yeah, I would definitely say figuring out some way to make the highway friendlier, and to connect the east and west sides of the city better. I think that's number one thing. Another big thing that would help with all kinds of other stuff down the line is getting folks to invest in the industrial area that we've built up so nicely with infrastructure. That would help with funding for all kinds of other stuff. And it would also help us take advantage of OMIC being there, which I don't know if it's still this way, but when we were coming out of hiding from COVID, it was kind of a ghost town out there. We would go out, me and my son would go out and do maker stuff, and there's beautiful facility, and it felt a little bit surreal. So those are two things. And then I think, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if this is a big thing, but it's something that I think about from time to time. It would be really cool to make Chapman Landing into an attraction and a destination for people. I think it's a magical spot, and it's just kind of sitting there. And I know that there was some kind of deal where the city took stewardship of it from from the county maybe, or a different agency. But I think that could be a huge magnet if people knew about it and if it was developed just a little bit.
Thank you.
So this is a question, or excuse me, this question is a follow-up to the question the mayor just asked. I said, what do you think the city of Scappoose should do to address these important issues? Do you remember everything you said?
Oh gosh. Well, okay. So I already talked about the starting a dialogue with ODOT. I think that's the and maybe staff doesn't want council to do that, right? But it seems like and for legitimate reasons, but I feel like there's, for all of us who navigate this landscape every day, it's a big deal, and it's going to start with some communication and building trust and sort of trying to figure out what ODOT's priorities are with this route, and how to speak to those priorities and help them to understand ours better, or like, frame the city's priorities in a way that's meaningful to ODOT. Attracting business out there, I don't know what to do about that. I mean, we need a good economy. Going to trade shows, I don't even know. I have no idea. I'm not I don't know if that stuff was built up with certain industries in mind, or if we want it to be aerospace stuff because we got the airport here, or what. But I think that's going to take some promotion, I suppose, like be promotional, maybe run ads in some trade publications, or go to conferences or something like that. Glad hand folks that have deep pockets and that need a big place to build a facility. And Chapman Landing, I think would be, I think that's a good project for community group, and maybe even some students to get behind that. People who are aficionados of the river or of the CZ Trail, paddlers, maybe somebody who wants to start a water taxi service up to St. Helens waterfront. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that can be done there, but so
Watershed involved, huh?
there's some ideas.
Thank you.
Marty, is there anything you would like to ask any of us, the city manager, staff, or council?
Yeah, what do you guys like this form of government? Do you think this is a good, should we have a strong mayor instead? We get more stuff done that way? Should we make the manager an elected position? They do that in some places, right?
I personally enjoy it the way it is. I mean, I don't mind being a weak mayor. One of 7 voices. It works. I mean, it's a volunteer position, takes a lot of time, but this is our city. We all live here and I grew up here and I enjoy what we do. And I have my own job, so it's nice to be able to turn to a staff and let them run the city and have no worries that it's going to be done well.
I will echo that too. I mean, there's pros and cons of each form of government there. And with the current form too, we don't receive any compensation. So I think the community members, taxpayers receive some benefit from that as well. And I think really that the things that we can accomplish on council doesn't necessarily relate back to the form of government. If you have good relationships and are a highly functional council and have good relationships with staff too, I think that you can generally accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. So that's something that some I think learn sooner than others. But yeah, that's my take on it.
It's the only way I know, so I really don't know what the other ways would be like. I mean, I've lived my whole life here basically, and so this is all I know.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't know I wouldn't know what the difference is. I grew up in Yakima, Washington, and I think we had an elected city manager there. And I suppose a relatively weak council. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but what do you all think about the churn on council? It seems like every 6 months somebody's moving out of the city or stepping down.
So our churn, exactly. So our churn has mostly been due to council members moving outside of the city limits. And as you just alluded to, residency inside the city limits is a requirement to be on council. I think if I'm remembering correctly, the 2 most recent occurrences were the families wanted some property that they couldn't really obtain within the city limits. Megan Greisen and Andrew. Ty Bailey. So I think, Andrew moved to the Warren area and then Megan moved just outside of the city limits. And I know that both wanted some property to do some different things. So
Yeah.
I don't think that it's, I don't think that people are leaving council because they don't enjoy being on council or there's disagreements or disputes or anything like that. I think it's merely just their greater family aspirations kind of take them outside of the city limits. Yeah, and just for clarification to the last question too, so we're what's considered a city manager council form of government too, do you remember what City of St. Helens is called?
City administrator.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both council manager form of government, but they have a city administrator.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
involved.
the form of government that we have is actually the most common form of government in the state of Oregon as well.
I think it's good with good staff, they aren't turning over. That's the
Mhm.
goal. They're here, they're running the city, they're here for long periods of time. We do change from time to time, and it's incumbent on us to select good ones and the community to vote for good counselors and get them involved. And we have a lot of good citizens here, so there's a lot of good people to choose from.
Mhm.
Just a matter of getting them to step up. And
Mr. Mayor, how much time do we need for this?
we probably need to cut it. That was the last question anyway.
All right.
So we're good. We
Thank you,
will appreciate it. We'll go on to the video one and then we have an open meeting. We'll have more dialogue about it.
Thank you.
The next one is about a 20-minute interview online. Mr. Ryuta, I interviewed him, asked him the same questions on Friday. Kim, if there is anything you have, just let us know. If you can't see this or hear it, once Susan starts it, let us know, but she's gonna play it online.
Great.
If we get right to 7, we might stop and start the next meeting and finish. If we only have like 1 minute left, maybe we'll just finish it.
What was the 3-dot option there?
When it gave you 3 dots, did it show you what they were?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Today, September 12th, Mayor Joe Backus is here today to interview council member potential John Ryuta. I have 11 questions here.
Could you hear that, Kim, just not see it?
Yeah, I heard that pretty clearly. Did it stop?
No, we're trying to get a video of it up so you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, worst case, they can just hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
us.
can.
Maybe it's so we can see the rest of you guys in case somebody comes in with a question. Okay, here we go.
And a couple minutes to answer each one. You have your application and some of them are on there, so you can just elaborate or reiterate. Welcome, thank you for coming. Take the time out of your day. So we will start. Question number 1, why are you interested in becoming a member of the Scapa City Council?
John Ryuta, answering. I've reached the point in my life when I think I've amassed enough experience, hopefully enough wisdom, to give back to my community. I've long felt that as a democracy, all of those who have the ability to contribute something have the responsibility to do so. And I've now gotten to the point in my life where I think it's time for me to take the next step in that responsibility. I've participated in a number of different things in the community over my over 30 years here. But I think the city council is the next logical need that needs to be filled. And I felt that it was incumbent upon me to put my name forward and see if the council determines that I'm the person that they would like to have in the seat to at least fill in for the duration of the term.
Great, thank you. And in continuation of that, what unique skills and experiences would you bring to the city council position?
Let's see, starting off with, I've lived in the community for, as I said, over 30 years now. We raised our daughter here. She went to school here, graduated from Scapa High. I even briefly taught in schools. We live in the community. Even though I technically work for a firm that's in Southern California, my office is here in my home. And so I daily am involved with the community. I I don't simply go away and just come here and sleep. I am actively part of this town. And so through that and through decades in the business world, everything from marketing communications to logistics to product development to engineering, I have a number of different skills that I think could be useful in interpreting different challenges that face the city, in understanding different opportunities that might present themselves, and simply having something to contribute. I would be another voice from potentially a different group. And I think it's something that could be valuable, and leave it to the council to determine whether they think so as well.
Thank you. Continue there too. Position of city council is a time-consuming job. For example, bi-monthly meetings, community meetings, prepping for meetings, reading material. Would you be able to devote the necessary time to adequately fill the position? And please describe your current time commitments and how you'd be able to balance the new position.
I think so. That was one of the things that I had to consider. I've actually thought in the past about putting myself forward for city council, but at that time I was traveling a great deal, and it simply wasn't something that was feasible. I don't travel that much anymore. I rarely travel outside of the country as I once did. I only have a couple of regular business trips per year, and I know that they're going to happen a year in advance. And so any accommodations I need could be made. I don't really have commute time. I wake up in the morning, go downstairs, turn on my computer and my office, so I can maximize the efficiency on my time available. As far as reading, not a problem. As far as devoting the time necessary for other possible requirements, I don't see it as being outside of what I have available to do.
Please explain the council, city manager, form of government that we have here in Scappoose. What do you see your role as a councilor being if you were appointed?
We have an elected council, and then we have a higher city manager. And it's a bit of a hybrid structure. Instead of a mayoral directive, we have the city manager who's responsible for much of the actual formal administration. And then we have a council, of which there is a mayor, of which there is a president of the council. And they essentially act as a group body to determine business brought before them and how different matters need to be addressed. There's, of course, budgetary, there's city planning, there's oversight, there's a number of other things that go with that, but it essentially functions as a group to find consensus on different matters facing the city. So it's a fairly straightforward system.
Thank you. How do you feel that disagreement and or debate among city council members fits in the decision-making process?
Oh, that's part of any form of democratic government. Not everyone is going to agree on everything. I've been in business long enough to know that if you get 8 people in a room, they'll probably have 9 different opinions. And so the question is, can it be done in a manner that is civil and respectful? And so long as everyone understands that differences of opinion are not insurmountable problems, they're actually beneficial to the entire process. Because if everyone walked into a room and simply said, all right, we agree on everything on this, but quite frankly, either no, some people aren't giving it sufficient thought, or there's something else desperately wrong. So that it really needs differences of opinion. It needs discussion of matters. And that doesn't have to be some form of rancorous debate. Simply one person has one position, one person has another. They lay out their arguments in favor and against. And in the end, everyone tries to find a solution that works best for everyone involved.
Great. What do you think the city of Scappoose is doing well?
I see attention being given to future planning, which is good. We wanted to meet it. Portland is going to continue to grow, and while we're protected from actually becoming a connected suburb by the Forest Park, we will continue to see an inflow of residents because the housing is too unaffordable in the Portland area, and people are coming out here, they're coming to Warren, St. Helens, even going as far as here to find some place to live. They also want a smaller community experience. They don't want the anonymity of the metro area. That's the reason my wife and I came here after university. We both wanted to raise our daughter in a town that was similar to the town of Astoria, where we both grew up. So I think that basically being proactive in that, looking at what do we need to do, what will we need to do. I also like the fact that they're thinking about recreation. It's not simply infrastructure and the nuts and bolts. They're thinking about, well, we need more parks here. If we have more families coming in, we're going to need things for people to do. And so looking at that, looking at planning for bringing the right sort of businesses in, I think all of those are, I think that's being done rather well.
Great. And what do you think the city of Scappoose can do better?
I think that one of the biggest challenges is with the inflow of new people. We have a town that has population that is at least partially deep roots, people that have been here for generations. And that brings a certain attitude in the town. We like things the way they are, we don't want them to change. The people who are coming here want a certain amount of that, I believe, but they also say, well, no, we're also here now. And the challenge in many cases is that when you start getting that, when you start having people that are still very dependent upon a nearby city for their livelihoods, and in many cases for shopping and whatnot, it simply isn't available. We have to find a way to incorporate all the newcomers. But we also have to find a way to develop a sense of community. One of the problems that Scappoose faces is that we're divided by a highway. And it's a major Oregon highway. So we've got this town that half of the town is on one side, half of the town is on the other. And that, even though it may not seem like a lot, it physically divides. It makes it seem like maybe this isn't a town, maybe it's just sort of a development along a highway. The reality is the town is here, for the highway is here, simple road here. And there was also discussion back when it was built on where it should be, but it bypass environment. It's that sort of thinking that I think that we need to begin really focusing on to bring not just occasionally people together for big events, but on a daily basis, how do we make this a stronger community where everyone who lives here feels part of it? And how do we bring the newcomers in? How do we help the people who've been there for generations to understand that no, your town is not going away. It's just that as time progresses, we have to make a few adjustments, but the things that you loved about the town 50 years ago are still going to be part of the town.
Kind of mentioned some of this, but in your opinion, what are the 3 important issues facing the city of Scappoose?
Oh, issues, challenges. Let's see here. Well, housing. I think, like so many places for housing is becoming unaffordable. It has become unaffordable. Young people who are graduating from high school, who, if they can find employment, they're not able to find that. And it's not a question that they're not able to buy a house. They're not able to rent a house or even rent an apartment. The studio apartments now are the 1,500 range, 1 bedrooms, anything that can conceivably house a family is well over $2,000 a month. And I think that we need to look at that. How we solve that is a very important challenge to the city. We've talked about a little bit about the in-migration from Portland and beyond that challenges the small town atmosphere of the town. I think that is a challenge facing the city. I also think that the cuts to the U.S. federal budget that will decrease funding available. I mean, the state of Oregon has lost all proceeds from all natural resources coming from timber, coming from mining, coming from anything that's being taken off the federal land. The money that we would get since 1930 is gone. It's been federalized. And so we have to find a way to recoup that without basically imposing a tax burden on our citizens that they simply can't afford given the other inflation.
You kind of touched on, what do you think the city of Scappoose should do to address those important issues?
Well, we talked a bit about the second one, which is how to build a sense of community. And again, not just big events, not just something that is big and flashy, but even small everyday things. One of the things that I think is being done quite well is the police chief seems to have a genuine sense of what it is to have a police force in a small community. For example, first day of school, in the past, we've seen signs, the electronic signs showing people, reminding them to slow down, keep school down. But there was an officer standing on the corner in front of one of the schools as the traffic was going by. He wasn't standing there with a speed gun. He wasn't standing there making threatening gestures. He was simply standing there next to a patrol car. And that's something that basically is a very subtle, small way that everyone driving past can say, oh, yes, there's an officer there. Why? Oh, well, the school's back in session. Oh, good. Oh, it's nice to see an officer out. All those types of things, they seem small. They may seem insignificant, but those are these individual types of things that we need to think about. How accessible are members of the council to the general public? How accessible is the police force? One of the best things I see in the model that we can even look to, and I know I've said, stay away from focus exclusively on but the annual pancake breakfast at the fire department. But that's a remarkable event. That's the event that you see so many people from such a wide swath in the community, far more than any other event that I generally go to here. And it's a wonderful event. It brings everyone together to eat. The way that you really get to know people is you eat. It's the reason Ichabod's continues to be so important. It's the reason Extapa continues. It's the reason the pizza shop continues. It's because you go there and you see people and you interact and say, these are numbers in my community. As for the housing, I think that we need to look at possibly trying, maximizing where we can build. Much of the city, you can't build on a certain amount of it, especially when you get up to the hills. The hills are riven with underground streams. And so you have to know, all right, where can we build? Where is a safe place to build? We have some land there that's flood prone. But where it can be developed, and we also have to try and encourage the builders to build things that are going to be affordable. I know that many states are facing this, many communities are facing this. The state of Utah, for example, the city has tried to incentivize the builders to say, look, build smaller houses. Don't just build these giant 6'5" media room and all the rest of this. Most people can't afford that. They don't want it. Build 3 tubes on a small lot that the family starting out can think about buying. And yes, the builders are at a disadvantage because if you have lots that are too large, then they're going to build a larger house and it's going to attract somebody that maybe isn't even part of the community to come in and say, oh, that's a good deal on a house. But meanwhile, we've got local young families that like, we can't find a place to live. We're going to have to eat. As far as the federal budget cuts, we simply do it. We try and find monies where we can. We can't really rely on grants. We'll just have to basically make the best we can. And I think that as somebody who's lived their life in a small town, you do the best with what you can and you do what you have to. So it's just a question of making the decisions and finding, never missing an opportunity.
Is there anything you would like to ask us?
I've attended city council meetings over the years. I know a good portion of the people who are on the council and who've been on it in the past. Talk with people, you understand how things go. Quite frankly, I don't have any burning open questions at this time. It's simply a matter of, I think most people know me here. And I'm always available to follow up on any answers that I've given or give new answers, new questions if that's desirable. But I don't have any burning questions at the moment to ask.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
You know, I like being part of this community. I want it to be successful. Over the years, a lot has changed. And some of those things I thought have been beneficial, some of those things that I'm happy about. But in the end, I still think that this is a great place to live. But if we're going to continue to keep it a great place to live, we're going to have to give it a certain amount of tender loving care, for lack of a better phrase. We need to pay attention to the details. We need to think about what the experience is of living here and why we all do live here instead of living someone else, because all of us made the decision to either come here or to stay here. And so I think that's really the responsibility of the council, is to make sure that we do our best in order to continue.
Well, great. Good. I really appreciate it. That was really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes this work session. We will adjourn the work session and start up our regular meeting in about a minute or two.